This is my town, Edgewood, New Mexico. It was established as a town in 1999, but a lot of us have been here longer than that. It has a population of 6,000 residents. This is my neighborhood, known by the mayor as That Mess on Range Road. We own our own small houses on large lots. We are working people, retired people, immigrants, single moms, and young families. But now we're being betrayed by institutions we elected, supported, and trusted to represent us. Two prior administrations saw the need to build a waste processing plant to accommodate growth. I think we all agreed and supported them on that.
Just to get a historical background, why the sewer plant is so important is because this is a town that the taxes that operates for pays for your police department, pays for your roads, pays for all of the services that we do have in the town, generally come from gross receipts tax and retail sales. So having businesses in town like Walmart and Smith's is really what pays for your services. And what's really kind of interesting about Edgewood, we identify ourselves as one of the most outside-in communities in the state. What that means is most of your taxes that the town most of the taxes the town receives are not paid by the residents of the town of Edgewood. Most of them are paid by people coming into our community to shop at our stores. And we couldn't do that if we didn't have the sewer system and the wastewater treatment plant. So we always felt as a governing body, and Councilor Ring, you can verify this, but we always looked at that plant as an economic development expense for the town. So this concept that it has to be an enterprise activity, hopefully someday that's going to occur, and that's what we should be working for. But that's kind of just a little bit of history of why the sewer plant, why we pay so much money for it, because without that plant, we would not have the revenue that we have in this community.
The current mayor, in spite and greed, without consulting or informing the governing body, rerouted the sewer through his own property. To cover that unethical and illegal act, he paid $730,000 of the town's money, our money, to develop plans to spread the rest of the line over very low density, built-out, non-commercial neighborhoods like mine. The ordinance, which was intended for undeveloped and commercial lands when implemented, absolutely requires anyone within 150 feet of the sewer to demolish their existing septic system and hook up. We estimate the cost to each consumer to be from $8,000 to $20,000. All of the hookups so far have tended to be the higher number. Most of the town government staff, the council, and most of Edgewood's affluent homeowners do not live in this area and are not affected as ratepayers.
But I will tell you that I think there are better solutions than what maybe is being proposed. And I will tell you that the hookup issue, a couple of things there. The intent for the mandated hookup was intended to be just for new construction and not for existing construction. So I think that needs to be, everybody needs to understand that. The reason being, we did have serious interest for housing development to come into the town that would require sewer hookup because of the density of that particular development, and for the desire to have development like the Beehive, which is a multifamily type of development, and the town felt that there was a need to have that kind of development, and that would require certain types of hookup. There was also issues with the sewer plant that really would benefit from the flow from residential development. So there was multiple reasons for going forward, making residential development hook into the system as a mandate, but there was never an intent to force existing housing to hook up.
The high-density housing to which the former Mayor Hill was referring is called Lone Pine. There have been continuing interest by numerous parties to develop that area even now. The property has always been identified as the ideal place for high-density residential development. It is the only property within the development region that is zoned appropriately. It cannot be developed without a sewer solution. When the waste plant was opened in 2010, the idea was to serve the Route 66 commercial area, pick up Walmart and Denny's, and to provide service to the undeveloped Lone Pine lot. The council voted to develop the collection line to Route 66 at a cost of $530,000 to complete the vision of the original project designers. When the service map was drawn up for the waste treatment collection system, the Lone Pine property was eliminated by gerrymander. The waste plant has a maximum intake capacity of 150,000 gallons per day. After that, Edgewood will require a new plant. The figure is diminished because of problems with the plant. The design criteria established by town engineers and the developers of this collection system calculate undeveloped residential property at 750 gallons per day per acre. They calculate commercial property at 1,000 gallons per day per acre. The Lone Pine area has 195 acres available. All of the proposals for development of Lone Pine so far, with the addition of commercial users on Route 66, will demand 100% of the capacity of the existing plant. This is enough to offset part of the operating cost and service the debt. The good news is that except for the connector to Route 66, all of the infrastructure is in place. What is being proposed and has been approved by NMED, on the other hand, will add $14 million in taxes and debt for a $6 million waste plant. Our loan agreements require borrowed funds will have to be repaid exclusively by ratepayers. The mayor redirected money appropriated by a previous mayor intended to resolve violations in the waste plant into a scheme to develop his own family properties at the town's expense. He personally instructed contract engineers to develop a waste collection expansion plan to his specifications. The plan describes 8 service areas. The first, Phase 1, already complete, arguably benefits the Bassett family almost exclusively. The second, Phase 2, was rejected by the council 6 months after the mayor and no one else commissioned the final engineering design. A councilor recognized that what the mayor was calling the key property was, in fact, Bassett property and objected. The homes in Phase 2 have working septic tanks and have no need of sewer service. Phase 2 would benefit the Bassett family almost exclusively. The 344 service area is now on the list for capital outlay funding. The sewer is strongly opposed by all of the property owners in the Woods End area except the Bassett family. The proposed $1.3 million will require only 4 homes to hook up in very expensive rocky terrain. The proposed 344 service area will have cost Edgewood taxpayers over $325,000 for each connection. I think it is fair to say that the 344 service area will benefit the Bassett family exclusively. A further insult is that in ignoring good practices, easements for these properties were not negotiated in the engineering design. They will have to be acquired from, you guessed it, the Bassett family. The easements along Church Street were purchased from the Bassett family for just under $60,000. In addition, the town bought the Bassett family a new $17,000 fence as part of the Church Street paving, which may or may not happen in this administration. The waste plant is already in failure. We are trying to minimize the financial and potential health and environmental impacts. Both of our state representatives are informed and have said they will not put forward proposals for funding projects the community disapproves. I assume any future representatives will feel the same way. They are aware of the sketchy nature of this project and its unpopularity. The Edgewood administration works in absolute secrecy, has made no effort to sample public opinion, and in fact has resisted all input. The waste plant was operated for months without a certified operator. The responsibilities fell to a single laborer. During that time, the plant failed completely. discharging bacteria and viruses and biological materials tens of thousands of times above limits. Reports to the council were falsified. For months, unknown levels of contamination were spread on Edgewood roads in reuse water used to control dust. We are currently spraying as much as 2.75 million gallons per month of contaminated water on the ground as emergency disposal. During the last 5 years, there has been no single individual in town government with the informed responsibility of town management. The town openly refuses to post timely laboratory reports to keep the chief stakeholders, the public, or even the town council informed. Because of this, assets have been neglected, spare parts are not anticipated, maintenance is not done, administrative compliance is ignored. 5 years ago, we had about 26 non-municipal accounts. This year, we have about 26 non-municipal accounts. We have had 3 significant spills. State oversight has been complicit, allowing documented violations to go unresolved for years. It has proven very difficult to recruit and keep a qualified local operator. Our current operator and titular permit holder lives and works in Salt Lake City, Utah. He cannot personally perform the responsibilities required by the permit. He does not regularly report to the council. The public is informed and has spoken. For the last year, we have had large attendance at public-initiated meetings. We had a community-driven election that tripled the turnout of any historical local election, almost half of eligible voters in a single-issue election. The vote was a landslide. 70% of the voters chose to change the form of government to retake some of the decision-making power from the mayor. The waste and collection system was no small part of that decision. Last January, I, with Jerry Powers, filed a quo warranto lawsuit demanding that the mayor be removed from office for violation of town ordinances, his oath of office, and state law. We also filed a qui tam suit on behalf of the citizens of Edgewood to try to recover some of the town money fraudulently used and wasted. These suits have passed several significant hurdles, and we are now free to prosecute the cases. We are asking state and federal agencies, principally the New Mexico Environmental Division, to step up and act to mitigate an inevitable financial and potential health disaster. I am addressing this to the New Mexico Environmental Department. Your process failed and the consequences are serious. The failing can be attributed to the closed nature of the implementation. Not only were interested citizens deprived of participation, but so were some of the Edgewood councilors. The town was deprived of the expertise, oversight, and local knowledge of the general public. We are asking that you correct this serious malfeasance by retracting approval of the current collection extension plans, restarting the process from first principles, and working with Edgewood citizens. Thank you. We have to do this because Edgewood is our town.